Uh, so let me start with a story. Okay. So I generally start with some real world story. So what happens? Suppose you are visiting any job platform, okay, or any social media platform or e-commerce platform. So what happens? Generally, we know where the apply now button will come. Generally, we know where the add to cart button will come, and we know where the follow button will come because we are habituated to using that platform. This happens to user who generally visited those platforms frequently. So suppose what will happen, you will click on that button and it will do nothing. You are seeing the UI, everything is on the browser, everything rendered here, but it is doing nothing. So after that one, when I will go through the talk, you will get and know so why this is happening. Okay, and and what is basically the disadvantage of the things, the rendering that is going in current meta framework, and what is the next future of the meta framework will be happen in case of rendering. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am Mangalam. Currently I'm a full stack web developer at Inkers Technology. I'm also a website manager at StewardTrust and content advisory board member at LogRocket. Okay. Uh, okay. So I have done some of the open source contribution during my colleges. I contributed to Dino. Dino have Phrase.js, that is basically edge rendered meta framework. So I contributed to Type Hero, SolidJS. I done too much work last year in SolidJS. Solid Start, maybe someone will come up with this one. They are doing a nice job. Maybe this year it will come with this meta framework. This is in currently beta 2. Okay, and Bun, or everyone know the fastest runtime that is introduced last year. Okay. Okay. So my topic will be the hydration is pure overhead. Okay. So we will understand why this is pure overhead, but let me go through what was happening before the hydration. So what exists when we have no hydration? Okay. So I have not too much experience. So I have used ASP or JSP or those type of technologies. But as far as I know, that I have used some sort of Flash or maybe Node.js to render static data from the server to the client. So what happens in that? We render data on the server, and server send the HTML page to the client. Okay, and we use some sorts of jQuery to sprinkle the interactivity into our website. So we required some sorts of interaction. We use jQuery for that. So at that time, there is no need for hydration. Everything was in the HTML pages already. Only need to add interactivity on the client when required. Okay, but we know that we don't like writing jQuery. We are not getting too much developer experience from there. Okay, so yeah, after that, Angular come up with single page application. React after that come up with single page application. So by looking into Angular, React, there is a lineup of single page application framework introduced in the tech world, in the JavaScript tech world. So it come up with Vue, React, Svelte, SolidJS, Quick, and there are lots of single page application or a JavaScript framework introduced year by year. Okay, so what happens in single page application? So in single page application, we send empty HTML that have empty body, and we send to the client in the browser. So basically, the problem is that one is just an empty HTML page. Okay, so there is nothing inside them. There is no content inside them, and everything boot up on the client means any framework will take over the things, and they will start rendering all the JavaScript and execute all the JavaScript on the client. Okay, so the problem with that, there is an issue with SEO, that is search engine optimization. But I will come up with point that this is issue with non-Chromium browser. If you will look into the Chromium browser have some capability that they can manage your client-side rendering, but you need to give some links or some sorts of content to them, so they can come up with some sorts of better SEO in that case. But non-Chromium browser not have such capability. They will not run your client-side rendering at all. Okay. So yeah, so here is, you maybe come up with this index.html file. If you are using React Server if you are using, let's say, that is basically create React app template. So this one inside the public directory, but now everyone is using Vite. So this one will be at the root of your directory. Okay. So here you will see what is happening here. So in the body, we are sending the root, and we are sending the JavaScript file that will take over everything once it will render on the client. Okay. So yeah, come up with this thing. So how these are going inside the client side rendering thing. So first we download the empty HTML, that is empty body HTML inside the browser. After that, the JavaScript will take everything and they will start parsing the JavaScript. They will fetch all the data that we require. Suppose we are fetching a sorts of GitHub repository of particular username. So they will do data fetching. Again, they will parse this data. They will create the DOM tree, and now you will able to see the any content in the browser. You know the problem is what? The problem is even your image part is created. Suppose this is your profile part. Your profile image is ready and all the content is not available. It will still wait. It will render your that is a man thread. And after that, everything will be available. Then it will start rendering at once. Means at a meanwhile, you can come up with showing some sorts of spinners or maybe UI loaders. Okay. So yeah, let's come up with what is the basically demerits here. So not great for SEO. There is a performance issue because we know that at a meanwhile, uh, basically what happens, the complexity of your app will increase, the JavaScript will increase, their execution will increase, and the time to render any content that will also increase. Okay, and of course, if you will see at the first pant, there is just empty HTML, nothing inside them. And if you will look into the first content pull fant, it will also take a time because your content is not yet ready to render. Okay. So after that, to solving this problem, uh, React come up with server-side rendering. Okay, everyone know Next.js. So Next.js come up with server-side rendering. They told, okay, look, man, okay, so the problem is we are sending empty HTML. Okay, no problem. What we will do, we will render everything on the server, and we will send the content in that HTML file, and I will also send all the content that need to boot up on the client inside that HTML. Okay, so in server-side rendering, we are basically rendering everything on the server. It may be you may be pre-rendered during build time, or maybe you can render on the fly once the request will come. Okay, so here you will see that we got enhanced browser optimization and document parsing. I told you the problem is single page application. My image is ready, but still this is waiting for all of the rest of the work to done. Then it will render at once. But here at server side rendering, we are getting enhanced capability. Okay, my image is ready, just render it. Okay, my content is ready, just render it. You don't have to wait for the everything to be ready, because this is browser optimization. You will help browser will help you because web standard is awesome. After that, offload JavaScript bundles. Suppose you are using Moment.js or Day.js or DayTutils, any JavaScript library that basically parse your data at the time. So what happens? We basically use on the client to parse our data and time. But what happens if you will offload that JavaScript? You will do the same things on the server. Means that bundle will be removed from your client. So this will also help you to offload the JavaScript bundles. Okay. And here is some sorts of like what I talk about. We got a request, we got first content pull fant. We don't have to wait for blank screen. Everything inside the page. So just render it. Okay. And after that, some sorts of JavaScript things happen that we will talk about in future. What is that thing? And then we have time to that is our application is interactive. Now you can click on button. Now you can click on any part of the interactive element. Okay. Now I will come to the hydration part. So the client-side JavaScript convert static HTML into dynamic web app by attaching event listener. So this I got from somewhere, and I got one. I saw Dan Abramov. They are like talking about React Server component. So they told that hydration is nothing but just watering on the dry HTML. Okay, means we already have a sorts of HTML from the server that are getting on the client. So do some sorts of reconciliation, do some sorts of like managing, organizing the state, organizing all the DOM node, and render on the client. Okay. So next I will talk about, yeah, look at this one. So here I will explain you that what is hydration is over it. So if you will see, my app is executed on the server, serialize some sorts of data in the HTML, and then our app is downloaded on the client. Okay. So okay, that's it. So we are basically able to look, we are basically look into our all the content. We can scroll our content, but what happens if you will click on any interactive element? You can't see anything. Nothing will execute because in that HTML file, nothing information have sent that where is the event listener or what need to do if someone will click on that button. So what this will do, what any client-side rendering or any framework will do, they will re-execute the same app that they already executed on the server, and then they will try to fetch out all the event listener, all the states from there, and they will try to create a DOM tree, and they will render. Okay, so after that, you will see you can start interacting with the element, and before them you cannot. Okay. Okay, I will talk about some of the interactivity. So everyone have listened about the INP. INP is coming in this March in 2024. This is basically in that is interaction to next point. This is a web vital for performance. So before them we have FID. Okay, that is first input delay. So what happens? You go to your any interactive element and you click on that. So they will basically compute the performance. So how much time it is taking to perform any action on clicking on this button. Okay, so that are going to be deprecated by the Chrome team because there are some issues with them. The issue was that suppose your content is rendering on the client and hydration is going behind the scene, and if you will click on any button, they will calculate the better FID. So this is not true. So this is not true because there is no hydration happen. There is no chance that they will execute any event listener, and we are getting better FID. So Google Chrome has decided to deprecate that one, and they will come up with INP this March. And now the problem will start. The problem will be INP will start their calculation when the hydration will be completely happen. Okay, then it will start calculating your interaction. If you will click on that one, they will calculate the interaction. Okay, this one is 250 millisecond. Good, green range. If this is larger than 250 to 500, okay, yellow range, and after that this will be red range. So you will see one thing. Pick any of the best of the e-commerce platform that are basically using hydration techniques. They are not able to cross the performance of 50 or 60 even. Amazon is doing well. They are approx 60 to 65. But if you look at any, they are like in red zone, like 30 performance or 40 performance. So what is the issue with that? The issue is that interaction. Okay, so they need to skip anyhow how hydration is taking place there. So if they can control that part, they can get better performance. Okay. Yeah, here I will talk about how basically hydration basically happens here. So look into this app. Everyone is looking this one because we are using React app. So app is our root component. Okay. So I have child, some grandchild component. Let's say I have a counter component there. Okay. Maybe we have a counter component that have a event listener that will increase my count. Maybe we have a state or set state that will increase the count value. Okay. So you will see what is the problem here. The problem is if you will send the data from the server side rendering to the client, it will re-execute your app to find that where is the handle increment event listener, because HTML have no data. So they will try to execute from the app. They will go to the child. They will go to the parent child counter, and then after executing the counter, they will find that okay, here is the handle increment event listener. So let's take it that one, and now start taking any input from there. Now hydration is completed. But the problem is they are basically eagerly executing all the JavaScript. There is no required for that. Okay, even there is a static component, there is no event listener. This will also execute that static component because they don't have any idea that this one event listener have or not. So that is the problem. When I will come to the resumability, you will just flip this model and I will show you that how resumability basically solving this problem. So here, the entry point is the app root component. There is, you cannot do like start entering from the counter component, or you cannot do like directly executing from any child component. You have to come to the parent root component if you want to go and capture any event listener. Okay. So there is an improvement in hydration, that is progressive hydration. And on top of this progressive hydration, the things is, let's say progressive hydration say that, okay, man, the problem is that I am eagerly hydrating everything. So let's hydrate in chunk. So instead of hydrating everything at once, we will hydrate in some timing or maybe in chunk. So Jason Miller created the Preact approximately 2017 or 16. Yeah, so they created a Preact. We already familiar with Preact library, that is React alternative and less bundle size. So they basically enhance this term, that is partial, that is island architecture. So island architecture is nothing but this is the type of partial hydration where we create an interactive island, and we know that the most of the content in our web app is just a static site or just a content. Okay, so we created a dynamic part which required hydration, and instead of hydrating complete web app, we only hydrate those particular island that is required interactivity. Okay, so partial hydration, if you will look into this, so they told, okay, the problem is root. We are starting executing from the root. Let me create a multiple root. Now you require interactivity with that component, so go and execute that part. But again, the problem is same. The problem is still hydration. Okay, so and the bigger problem is event listener. No component know. So where is the event listener? You click on button, from where it will come up with that event listener initially. They have to execute all component to get that event listener. Okay. Okay, so there is some things that I want to discuss in the island architecture, that the state sharing basically are difficult, because you will see, if we have a common root, then no problem, we can share a state. But if there is no common root, it's hard to share the state. You can, but it's hard. It is not in the scope of the framework. You have to come up with your capability to share state between each components. Okay. And generally, we come up with the library or framework that are basically doing partial hydration, like Astro, that is basically maintained by Fred, and that are MPA, that is multi-page application. And I will talk about one more library, that is Fresh, that is introduced by Dino team. So that come up with that with island architecture. And recently in Dino Fresh 1.5, they come up with partials. So they solved the problem of the issue in multi-page application. There is some issues with the client-side navigation, the client-side routing, but using partials, you can do client-side routing. So they come up with HTML specific routing inside the Fresh.js. Okay. Yeah. Now I will talk about the resumability. So the resumability is about pausing execution on the server and resuming execution on the client without having to replay and download all the application logic. So you will see that what happens in resumability, we generally assemble everything, we generally serialize everything, all the event listener, all the state inside the HTML, and we send to the client. Means you don't need to re-execute the app. Okay, so you don't have to find the, hey, where is event listener? I have to execute the component. No need for that, because the information that where is that event listener is already known on the client. Okay, so means they send 1 KB of JavaScript that will take 5 to 10 milliseconds to execute, and that is basically if I will talk about Quick, that implement this resumability. There are many resumable frameworks. I think some are closed source. That is Google use which in their photos and Google search. So you see, anytime you search the Google and you have to wait for hydration. Never, because they are using resumability in the Google search, and that is using the Wiz. That is closed source, not open source. Another one is Marco 6. That is the most underrated framework in the JavaScript history. So they have that is streaming that they have streaming response during 2013 that we are seeing in last 2 or 3 years. We are seeing this thing. They are doing the same thing in the 2013. So they are basically maintained by the Marco team. Yeah. So let me go to the next part. Yeah, I talk about the model. I will come to that model that will flip the whole model upside. Let me show you that model. Yeah, here. So if you will look at one, look at this event listener. So if you will go through that one here, your component is bounding with that event listener. Means your component is pointing to event listener. You have to execute the component to get that event listener. Okay, but now come to here. In resumability, you don't have to. The entry point can be anywhere. The entry point can be event listener. Means you don't have to execute any root component. There is no any root component. Everyone is in itself is a root component. Okay, you need counter. Go take the counter. You don't have to execute the app component. You already have a listener. So basically, what happens? Event listener is generally downloaded when you start interacting with the element. Now you will say, okay, what happens if I will be in the lift? Uh, what happens? Means I will never click on that button. In production, it will not happen. So in production, when basically they download in the cache, and after that they execute JavaScript from the cache. They don't download at that time. Okay. Yeah. Let's come to this point. Here you will see now on the server during server side rendering in the resumability, we are executing our app and we have all the data in it and just send it on the client. Means your client don't have to wait for execution of any JavaScript. Your client don't have to wait for the serialization of state or event listener because all data inside that HTML, and now they can directly click on that one. So your INP will be good. You are already using the capability of server-side rendering. Your SEO will be good. So everything like the both of the best world. Yeah, here is a small comparison you will see between hydration and resumability. So hydration, they have to go through all of the things, getting the HTML, downloading it, parsing and executing it, and reconciliation, like binding all the event listeners. In resumability, you just go and click. You go to the site and start clicking on interactive buttons. Okay. So here I will show you. Quick is basically implemented by Builder.io. They are basically maintaining and they are using Quick. But here I will show you two comparison. Okay. On the right side, that is a resumable, and on the left side, this is a hydrated. Okay. So see the gray. So gray is representing your application are ready to take any event actions. And on the left, they are telling that you still need to wait to click on any interactive elements. Okay, so this is just a small demo how basically resumability and hydration basically compared. Let's come into this interaction between the download of and execute JavaScript. So you will see what happens in resumability. You don't download everything eagerly. You download according to your use or according to the interactivity. Your user will start interacting with the element. You will start downloading according to the interactions. But in hydration, you have to send the JavaScript that eagerly need to execute it because you don't know the event listeners. Even without executing that one, you cannot find where is this handle click or handle count path. Okay. So one benefit is that of this resumability. It doesn't matter how much JavaScript contains inside your web app. So it will always start with 1 KB and it will increase according to your interaction. Means you have a 1 KB of JavaScript inside your application. It is not going to execute everything. It will start with 1 KB. Okay, gradually there is some interaction. Gradually it will download your JavaScript and execute on the client. Okay, I will show you the counter demo here. Just let me show you. Yeah, here. So I have just configured this one with Biome. Anyone use Biome? Yeah, nice. Replace my Prettier and ESLint. And I'm using one here. So just I will do. one run def. Okay. So yeah, here is my counter example. I will show you the resumability. The main thing that is inside the resumability is, so let me open my inspector. Yeah, look at the network. Oh yeah, just I filter out bit that is basically that will not available on the production build. So you will see anywhere you look anywhere, they have not downloaded any sorts of the JavaScript that required to click on this button. Okay, so means this is just a HTML that is rendered from the server. Now start interacting with that one and look into this browser network. I interact with that button, and now it will go and it will download the code that required to increase that counter. So this will not eagerly download that one. This is just sort of JavaScript streaming. So JavaScript streaming is like download the JavaScript according to time, according to interaction. Streaming is something like that. Okay, and one more thing is that uh, if I will go to my console, suppose I go to this counter that say my count is 5, and let me resume it here. So I will pause this one using $0 dot. Let me pause this one. Okay, my application is paused. Okay, means if you will pick the code, this HTML code, put anywhere in the browser, it will start with the same counter. And this can be any hydration based framework. Any hydration based framework, you will get the same counter because this is inside the HTML. That is just a text. But what is the main thing? Once you will click on that counter, hydration based framework will not able to execute the JavaScript. They will not able to increase your counter because there is no any event listener. But resumable framework can start where they left off. That is from 6, not from they will not from do something like do nothing. So what I will do, uh, I will copy this one and where is Safari? Yeah, and just I will open the same app, localhost 5173. I will go to my console, and I will just replace all the HTML here, and let's go. So, and one more thing that I will do, this is now paused. I need to resume it. So I will say, okay, go and resume. Okay. And now if I will click on that counter, oh, where is this? Okay, let me edit. Okay, just I'm trying one more. It will start from the laptop. Maybe I'm doing some mistakes. Let me see. Yeah. So we'll see. They don't have to. They don't have they don't have to go and start with 0 or do nothing. They will start where you left off. So it will start increasing from there because everything is serialized into the HTML. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. So let me show my